Welcome back, everyone. Dustin Davis here, and you're watching another Bears Express report. The wins keep coming, but something feels incomplete. Beneath the surface of an improved record, questions are mounting. Questions about contracts, production, and whether the current roster can deliver what the next phase demands. The gap between salary commitments and on-field results has grown too wide to ignore. Leadership faces decisions that will define more than just next season. What happens in the coming months will determine whether this foundation strengthens or requires dismantling. The next moves will shape not only this season but the foundation of what follows. With the Bears having their best season in years, let's check out some big moves in Chicago. First of all, let me take a moment to ask for your help. If you enjoy our videos, give us a like. It's a great way to keep the content going. Thanks for the support. The offense has performed at a respectable level throughout the campaign, climbing into competitive territory against most opponents. Yet the production hasn't matched the investment, particularly when measuring output against salary commitments. Caleb Williams displays traits that suggest future excellence, though consistency remains elusive. Surrounding talent has contributed steadily rather than explosively, creating a disconnect between cost and return. This imbalance raises questions about how the roster should evolve. Decision-makers face pressure to address inefficiencies through trades rather than simply hoping for improvement. Industry observers now suggest the organization may actively explore moving established contributors when the offseason arrives. Benjamin Solak of ESPN has voiced doubts about whether certain skill position investments have delivered appropriate value. His assessment of playing time, target distribution, and financial burden suggest at least one veteran could be moved during upcoming roster adjustments. The analysis reflects broader concerns about aligning spending with on-field impact. Two veterans under scrutiny, tight end Cole Kmet and wide receiver DJ Moore, draw the most attention in these discussions. Their combined cap hit approaches $40 million for 2026. Yet their projected combined output, approximately 1,050 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, appears modest relative to that expense. Unless both elevate their performance significantly over the remaining games, management may determine the financial burden exceeds the on-field contribution. Head coach Ben Johnson's preferences complicate these evaluations. Kmet brings more than receiving ability. His blocking strength and physicality anchored both the running game and play-action designs. Moore contributes as a blocker, but lacks the same reliability in that role, and his yardage totals trend toward a second straight season below 1,000 yards. With Rome Odunze and Luther Burden establishing themselves as primary receiving threats, Moore's role as the third option becomes harder to justify at a salary level. Moving Moore would create roughly $16 million in cap relief for 2026. He remains under contract through 2029 and will turn 29 before next season. Factors that should attract teams seeking veteran receiving help. Trading Kmet could clear an additional $8.4 million, though actual savings depend on trade compensation and restructuring possibilities. Solak's reporting establishes both players as key figures in offseason flexibility planning. Elsewhere, in the offseason planning conversation, the front office is already mapping out how draft night might unfold. The team's standing has shifted considerably, from 6-3 to 8-3, moving them to the 26th overall selection in current projections. And if God wills it, 9-3 after the Eagles game. Well, this exercise examines a 3-round scenario using the 26th, 58th, and 90th picks, with trades enabled to maximize flexibility. The approach treats draft capital as fluid rather than fixed. Using the PFF mock draft simulator with trades permitted across 3 rounds, the 26th pick becomes a potential asset to leverage rather than simply fill a position. Recent additions like Colston Loveland reduce positional needs at certain spots, making trade scenarios more attractive. At 26th overall, the most logical positional fit would be Kenyon Sadik, but selecting him would create redundancy after the Loveland acquisition. Instead, the selection becomes trade capital. Tampa Bay presents an ideal partner. Their tight end depth is thin, and their receiving core ages. The proposed exchange sends Tampa's 2027 first-round pick and the 198th pick, 6th round in 2026, to Chicago, while the Bears surrender the 26th pick and their 4th-round selection, 131st overall, this year. 2nd-round selection, Dante Corleone. Prioritizing defensive line help in the early rounds addresses a clear weakness. Grady Jarrett has declined from previous standards at age 32. Andrew Billings offers limited impact and Gervon Dexter provides adequate but not elite play. Between available options, including Dominique Orange and Dante Corleone, the Bears should target Corleone's run-stopping ability and physical fit for their interior. Standing 6'1" and weighing 335 pounds, he can control gaps and hold against running attacks while displaying unexpected quickness for his size. He fills an immediate need and brings physical attributes suited for Chicago's interior defensive front. Third-round selection, Akeem Mesidor, edge. The 90th pick offers intriguing value in Akeem Mesidor. Though older than typical prospects at 24, Mesidor brings pass-rushing upside combining flexibility with strength. He has demonstrated quarterback pressure ability and could develop into a long-term replacement for edge contributors like Montez Sweat or address potential departures such as Dayo Odeyingbo. Cornerback D'Angelo Pons represented a tempting option in earlier mock iterations and remains available in many scenarios. However, this version emphasizes interior defensive reinforcement and edge development to address both immediate and future needs. Trade flexibility, age profiles, and scheme compatibility drive these selections over pure name recognition.
At the same time, the quarterback's development has hit a specific technical obstacle that's been hard to ignore on film. Caleb Williams' 2025 season demonstrates clear advancement across multiple categories. He's absorbing fewer sacks, his rushing production has increased meaningfully, and his passing totals appear elite when viewed through traditional statistics. Yet beneath those encouraging numbers lies a recurring flaw, an accuracy problem that continues appearing in game footage and statistical summaries. Williams addressed the issue directly following a recent game, and his explanation shifts the discussion from talent questions to technical refinement. The following examination reviews his comments, their significance, and why resolving the problem demands deliberate, sustained effort from both player and coaching staff. Nearly every aspect of Williams' campaign suggests meaningful progress. He's taking considerably fewer sacks compared to his rookie year, projects to finish with more than 3,900 passing yards, and has posted 16 touchdowns against only 4 interceptions. His rushing ability has also grown more dangerous. 3 rushing scores after recording none last season. Yet one persistent issue remains. Through 11 games, his completion percentage stands at 59.2%, lower than his rookie figure. While receiver drops account for some incompletions, a significant portion stems from inaccurate throw placement. Too many of Williams' attempts this season have missed their intended targets, either sailing beyond receivers' reach or arriving outside the designed throwing window. That pattern prompted a straightforward question: what's causing it? Williams himself provided the answer during his most recent media availability, pointing to his mechanics rather than external variables. My feet. I was where I needed to be when dropping back, but my base widened and my legs weren't fully beneath me early in the game, he explained. That candid evaluation matters because it identifies a correctable mechanical source rather than an intangible mental error. Footwork serves as the foundational component of pocket accuracy. When a quarterback's lower body isn't compact, balanced, and synchronized with the throw, trajectory and placement deteriorate. The Steelers' game provided visible examples. Williams would allow his left foot to drift or fail to reset his base before releasing, producing throws that missed their marks despite sound reads and timing. This problem is far from unusual. Mastering professional-level footwork presents difficulty, and contemporary college systems complicate the learning process. Many programs emphasize spread or pistol concepts that keep quarterbacks in shotgun formation, reducing focus on under-center footwork and traditional drop mechanics. That omission creates an adjustment period at the professional level. The solution requires methodical repetition and patience. When Williams' footwork becomes instinctive, the wayward throws that currently stand out will decrease. Credit belongs to the coaching staff for maintaining discipline in his technical work and preventing gradual regression. This represents a process that rewards time and consistency rather than immediate corrections. A fresh roster question has emerged in the backfield, where one veteran's future suddenly looks less certain than it did weeks ago. Given the current trajectory, one veteran's position appears particularly vulnerable, running back DeAndre Swift. Despite continued production in his second season with the organization, Swift could become expendable if management believes a younger alternative can assume the workload going forward. Swift joined the Bears in 2024 on a 3-year contract and immediately claimed the starting role. During the 2024 season, he accumulated 959 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, adding 42 receptions for 386 yards across 17 games. This season, through 10 games, he has compiled 649 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns while catching 24 passes for 224 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Those numbers provide insight into how the offense might function with him as the primary ball carrier, and the organization may seriously consider that scenario during offseason planning. Swift remains under contract for 1 additional season. However, if coaching staff concludes Monagai is prepared to handle full-time responsibilities, Chicago could explore trading Swift or releasing him to move forward with the rookie as the featured back. On another front in the discussion about the cast, there's a scenario of blockbuster trade that keeps emerging among fans and analysts. The Eagles wrestle with internal discord, while the Bears benefit from offensive balance and a defense generating consistent turnovers. Questions surrounding Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's connection have plagued Philadelphia's offense, creating visible dysfunction. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams' steady second-year development and Chicago's opportunistic defense have built positive momentum. In this Gimme Him segment, we examine a player who could thrive within Ben Johnson's scheme, Saquon Barkley. Following his Offensive Player of the Year campaign, in which he rushed for 2,005 yards and 13 touchdowns, Barkley has posted more modest numbers this season. Through Week 12, he has gained 684 rushing yards and scored 4 touchdowns as Philadelphia searches for offensive rhythm. Nevertheless, Barkley remains among the NFL's elite running backs, a rare class combining contact balance, explosiveness, and durability. His debut season in Philadelphia produced both a Super Bowl championship and a 2,000-yard rushing performance, silencing critics who questioned his health and contract worth. After departing the New York Giants, he validated his status among the league's premier backs. Reports indicated Barkley considered signing with Chicago before ultimately choosing Philadelphia, a detail that gained significance given Ben Johnson's revitalized rushing attack. With an upgraded offensive line and Caleb Williams at quarterback, inserting Barkley into Chicago's backfield would create a compelling foundation for explosive, physical football. Imagine if Saquon Barkley actually ended up in a Bears uniform. Would that transform this offense into an elite rushing attack, or is it just a dream scenario that doesn't make practical sense? Do you think Barkley would thrive more in Ben Johnson's system than he has in Philadelphia? And would you trade significant assets to make it happen? Or should Chicago stick with their current backfield? Let us know in the comments. Is Barkley in Chicago a realistic move you'd want to see, or just wishful thinking? Don't forget, like and subscribe to join our fan base and stay up to date. Let's grow stronger with Bears. Until next time.